So it was you all this time. Who are you? Before I open this review of chapter 335 of My Hero Academia, please do me here and leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Now, let's get into it. What's up, guys? I got a pencil here, and here we are doing chapter 335 of My Hero Academia, which is known as Fledgling, which is known as no one really cares about the contents of this chapter just because of the very ending of it. I don't blame you for that, but honestly, I don't really care about the ending of the chapter. But regardless of that, let's hop right into it. So we open up and we get to see that Midori's asking the important questions like, okay, Star entrusted it to us. Great. What about Shigaraki? Did she nerf that man? Did she perform her one narrative purpose? Please tell me she did. And according to All Might, yes, it seems like from the battle that the American ships recorded, there is some damage. New Order essentially acted as like a bomb, which ended up destroying a lot of quirks within inside Shigaraki. And I think that's... See, like, I literally had like a long discussion about My Hero Academia's latest like couple chapters, and essentially Stars and Stripe in general, with the whole thing about this entire situation, and we both just came to this solid conclusion that Horikoshi just made Shigaraki too strong. Like, there's no reason to introduce the idea of international help just to get one person out of it, only to instantly shut it down. Like, there's no other reason to do that other than the fact that he made Shigaraki too strong, and I don't know how you do that. Like, as a writer, typically whenever you're planning your endgame, which I'm assuming Horikoshi's had the endgame planned for a while. Obviously, we see right here towards the very end, he's desperate to end this series. So I don't know how you power creep your main protagonist so much that they have to be nerfed. Like, and to be fair, it's not necessarily uncommon, because as a person who just finished reading Bleach, the same thing happened there. And I don't think it's good either way. Like, you shouldn't have your main villain be so powerful that you have to introduce a literal walking, talking plot device to come and nerf them so our heroes have a chance of beating them. That kind of takes the build-up away from a villain, especially a villain like Shigaraki. Like, someone who we've been following for so long. I know it's mostly All for One now, but still, a villain we've been following for so long, who we've been watching this build-up for, who we've been anticipating to be this big, bad, endgame level threat. For you to come in and nerf him at the last second because you aren't confident that your heroes you set up can beat him in the time you want to end the story. That's, at least to me, that's not, do I say, oh, that's bad writing. Like, you shouldn't have, your readers shouldn't be able to perceive a plot device so clearly. Like, technically everything's a plot device. But in terms of this specifically, like, you literally just made your villain too strong. And to nerf him, you introduced a whole concept, hyped up a whole concept for multiple chapters, only to introduce it 5 chapters, kill it off completely. Like, Star and Stripe is gone. The effects of her quirk is gone. And if this chapter is anything, like, Shigaraki may even recover. But we'll get into that when we get into that. Essentially, I'm just saying, all that build up for Shigaraki, only to nerf him right there at the last second. Why? Stupid. But anyway, back into the chapter. So that's not a fault on this chapter in particular. That's a fault on the previous chapter. That's a fault on just the story in general. But that is just something I want to talk about, because like we were trying to defend Star and Stripe's inclusion in the narrative as anything other than a plot device. But considering she was introduced just to die, and completely die, even like I've been convinced on just accepting the quirk vestige world, whatever. The quirk nebulous area, fine, I accept that. But to have a concept like that could have preserved Star and Stripe as maybe just like a suppressed consciousness or something like that, and who knows? That's still entirely possible. Maybe Star and Stripe didn't actually vanish, but it seems like she's completely gone. So to introduce something like that and not even use it well enough to like keep a character like Star and Stripe around in some way, shape, or form, so it doesn't look so blatantly like you just need to nerf Shigaraki. Like, come on now, Horikoshi. You're a better writer than that. I know you are, which is why I think that's why it annoys me so much, because like, I know you could do better, and you literally had multiple pre-set up contingencies. As I'll admit, were set up. As they were set up for a while now. I just don't like them. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I don't like them. They were set up for a while now. The Vicious World, as one of y'all in the comment section told me, has been around all the way back in the tournament arc. Even though I think Horikoshi didn't have a full solid idea of what he wanted to do with it, it was mentioned back there. So it's been around for a while. So to just get rid of Star and Stripe like that, annoying. But I'm getting way too off track. I'll talk about that in its own separate video. But apparently this chance that Star and Stripe has given them is now an opening for the heroes to like take it to Shigaraki. But obviously they aren't going to do that because they still need to train. Because heck, All For One's real body is still a main threat. Like All Might is good because he goes into the idea that as at the moment the central public security is still like the main concern of the heroes, because there are still a lot of stragglers out there, and there's more heroes left than I thought there would be. And to be fair, it's all a bunch of heroes that we personally know, like your Ed Shots, your Mount Ladies, your Fat Gums, your Gang Orca. Shouts to my boy Gang. But regardless, like Rocklock, Manual, the washing machine. But I don't know. Someone asked me, I forget, I think it was actually the same person I talked to, but I think he asked me to explain my vitriolic burning hatred for that washing machine, and I can't. Yeah, I'll just be completely honest, I can't. I just hate it. I don't know why. It just sparks up an undying fury within me. But regardless of that, there are a lot more heroes left, but I guess once again, compared to the scale of operation that they had before with a bunch of other heroes, even having this many left just isn't enough to cover an entire nation. So I don't even blame him. But then All Might brings out a fantastic point. He's like, okay, regardless of the fact that he's weakened or not, like All For One is still going to desire an all-out war. And to be completely fair, he has the resources to do it, because not only does he have Shigaraki Tomura with his enhanced body, which is an extremely dangerous threat, we still have his original body, which was, while weaker than my... Well, not necessarily. Well, yeah, probably weaker. While weaker than my prime self and vastly weaker than the Shigaraki body, is still an insane threat that lost none of its quirks. And then you have Dabi, who I don't know what, like, artist thing. Not necessarily artist. I'm weird with what I call myself. I suppose I'm a sketch artist, but like sketch artist things. Why does Dabi look like that? He looks like a whale. Like, it looks like he has baleen teeth and everything. He just looks so weird in that panel that Horikoshi drew him in. And I don't know why. It feels wrong looking at that panel of Dabi's little... He looks so stupid. And I know this is just like how... This is probably just how All Might is imagining them, and how like our students are imagining them, but why does he look like a baleen whale? I don't know why. Then Toga. Like, All Might... Broski, my dude, my dog, my old boy. Like, why'd you call Toga a troublesome little girl? That woman's a mass murderer. Like, what? Oh my, what you on, bro? Like, this isn't just some sweet little child that happens to be a villain. She stabs people and drinks their blood and kills them. For nonsense. But Pencil, it's a part of her quirk, and society should accommodate. No. Oh, she's drinking animal blood, maybe. But even then, I would... No. She's got to go. And, of course, there are only 6 of them. I thought there were... I mean, I guess a lot of them were destroyed. But the fact that there are only 6 remaining near high ends is kind of sad. I wonder if any of them are going to become full high ends. I wonder if that one look like Asnot. But regardless, there's also the remains of the Paranormal Liberation Front. And, honestly... Low-key kind of excited, I ain't gonna lie. Mainly because, I mean, I don't think we're gonna go into a full-scale second war. I don't think either side really has, like, the capabilities for that. But obviously, we see some matchups here that are being alluded to. And obviously, Shigaraki's main body is gonna be going up against Midoriya. That's the main matchup. I wonder who All For One's real body is gonna go up against? Because I know a lot of people are still banking on the whole area rewinding All Might to his prime thing, and they have their big final rematch. But one, kind of don't want that to happen. It kind of devalues All Might's sack. I mean, unless he dies. Kill him, or go. Like, I forget where. I think it was in Oceana's video. I think I literally heard him saying All Might is like a corpse walking. And I say him and Gran Torino are both in that point. Like, they should have died at this point. Like, I'm not going to lie. As much as I like that one chapter between All Might and Stain, All Might, he needs to go. Like, if he lives to the very end, like, great. But gosh darn it, you should have dried him already. Like, I hate to say it. Like, he should have been gone by this point. So I'm kind of shocked that he's still around. So, if Eri does it, and then it fails, as it should, because All Might doesn't have the quirk. Unless Eri can rewind quirks into existence, if she can rewind a copy of another quirk into existence, then, whoa, wow, amazing. But You know how I feel about that little plot device. I don't like her very presence in the story unnerves me because Eri is the scariest character in the entire series just because of what she can do and how much she can develop. Like we already saw what happened with Mirio's return. Yeah, people barely remember Mirio's even back because he hasn't been mentioned. Tamaki, Nejire, and Mirio just haven't been mentioned. They should be out there fighting the good fight alongside Fat Gum, Ryukyu, and stuff like that. But no, they just got off screen because they aren't valid anymore. Because the big three doesn't matter. Oh, I gotta make that Horikoshi character problem video because he just okay. Regardless, then you have Dabi. Dabi's obviously the Endeavor / Todoroki. See, I say Endeavor / Todoroki. I know I should call him Shoto. Endeavor / Shoto thing. Like, that's going to be their main rival, the Baleen Whale himself. Toga, it's likely going to be just Uraraka, if not Uraraka and Asui. The remaining high ends, I feel like that's going to be a Kirishima and Tokoyami problem in particular. Kirishima, Tokoyami, probably Ida. Who else is left that is, like, has enough build-up and, like, raw strength? Like, there are obviously other heroes, but as we've seen, Horikoshi loves to focus on the class. I'm trying to think of matchups from there specifically. But, oh, and the other person I think would be fighting All For One's real body, especially considering what's mentioned in this chapter. I think it would be Bakugo. If All Might is going to step up, I feel like Bakugo is going to stall against that while Shigaraki is getting taken care of by Midoriya. Mainly just because he specifically mentions about fighting a All For One user in this chapter. So he probably won't do well because he should get washed. But regardless of that, I could see something like that happening. The 6 high ends, like I said, is probably one of those 3. The Paranormal Liberation front, I'm assuming it's just going to be like the rest of the fodder in 1A. Like your Shojis, your Seros. Lanza del Rompago. I'm sorry, I read too much Bleach. But, yeah. The rest of the fodder 1A. Maybe 1B. Who knows if we see 1B at all. They kind of haven't been mentioned for a while, but it's not surprising. We haven't even gotten the big 3. I'm not shocked we didn't get 1B. So, who knows? Things could go wild. Things could go crazy. And I don't think it's going to be to the scale of the last war arc, which I think is fine. And I honestly wonder if Gigantomachia is just taken out of the narrative. I know he was captured, but I wonder if it's at all on All For One's radar to, like, go get him back. Because he was kind of unstoppable. He was stopped by pure chance, and I doubt... I mean, it could happen again. Momo could easily just drug him again. But I feel like it's going to be more difficult this time, especially since he's probably going to be, like, told to be on the lookout for it. So, who knows? And especially considering how long it took last time, as long as he goes on a bloodlust rampage, like, he's fine. So, yeah, this is building up to an interesting, like, final act. I mean, I know we're already in the final act, but in terms of, like, big, bad final battle, that'll give our other characters something to do while Midoriya and Shigaraki / All For One are, like, doing their final tango. Like, yeah, this is good build up for the rest of them to have something to do. And then we get to see that the ones that need to be captured at the moment are not necessarily All For One and his direct posse, but, like, all the escaped convicts running around, because they're just wild cards. Like, at least they may know something about, like, the main 5 attack. Yo, I realized Spinner isn't even mentioned because that man is fodder. Oh my god, I just realized Spinner isn't even mentioned. They showed off that weird Gorillas reference, but they didn't even show off Spinner because Spinner's that fodder to them. But yeah, they have their 4 name threats and, like, the 6 near high ends and the Paranormal Liberation front. But, like, we don't really know what's left of these high-end criminals and stuff like that. The ones that were, like, shown in Tartarus, obviously not all of them were captured back. So, who knows what could actually just pop up and go crazy if worse comes to worse. And, like, if they don't take care of that in advance, they could have a super powerful villain that's a wild card just rolling up on the final battle and being like, hey, I'm going to get in your way now. So, that's a pretty smart idea to go get them. And that could also be good training. So, I could see, like, a little miniature, maybe not a miniature arc, because obviously I don't think Horikoshi really wants to end the narrative. I hate to say it, but I could see, like, a little bit of time spent of Class 1A, like another training montage of just them going around capturing villains and maybe developing a new power or 2, stuff like that. But then we get to see that All Might declares that you all must become stronger in this time period because we must protect ourselves and those we hold dear. And, like, he's staring at the whole class, and then everyone's just like, well, no, not everyone. Bakugo's like, yeah, you're right. We've already been doing that. And not gonna lie, I kind of don't. Bakugo in this chapter seems heavily regressed. Like in the chapter with when Midoriya just got back and they threw him in a bath, like Bakugo still had his like main loud personality traits, but now he's like back to just being like middle series Bakugo. Like he's just rude. I don't really get it. Like he's screaming violently. I don't know. It's probably just because of the circumstances, but it was kind of annoying to read. I'm like, it's even like pointed out. Like I think is that Rikido, Sato, whatever his name. Like it's kind of pointed out like all that character development and for what? Like this doesn't add anything to the chapter. I feel like it would have been better if Bakugo had delivered it calmly. Like we've already done that for ages, and we're ready to do it again, or something like that. Like something more composed. I don't know what the screaming's for, and it kind of annoys me. Then again, I know I when I scream, y'all get kind of annoyed, so it's fine. It equals out. We balance. But then we get to see that their little rest period is over. They're gonna go back out and keep training. And it's revealed that Ojiro and I guess some other people were still training with the Pussycats, which is cool. I'm fine with that. It's off screen because they don't matter and they probably won't matter, but that's fine. And it seems like everyone has their own goals and stuff like that. Like they're gonna be ready to go out and help capture the villains, but on top of that, they have their training and stuff they're gonna do to prepare for the big final battle. And it seems like Bakugo wanted to train with Midoriya, and he said apparently Bakugo promised Midoriya that he's going to help him master One for All, and they have a week to do it. And considering, I mean, I don't know, Midoriya's made some insane progress, but if he's only at like 45% consistently over like 3 months of training, he may be in a little bit of trouble if he's trying to master that bad boy in a week, unless he gets some exponential gains. Unless they use Aerie. But whichever happens first, I don't know. But then we'll get to see. Yeah, I don't know. Why is he screaming? Annoying. But then we get a more like calm Bakugo who brings up the whole idea that he wants to test out something called cluster, his new technique. So as long as it works against a One for All user, it should work against All for One user. Yeah, that doesn't really correlate, but you know, we'll let that rock, Bakugo. I wonder what it's gonna be. And then we just get Todoroki saying, "I see," and we cut away from him. That's it. That's it. I don't really know. But then Kirishima's going to train his durability with those two. So that's going to be interesting. That's actually like a side trio that is really interesting to me. Like the Bakugo, Midoriya, and Kirishima trio. I actually would be excited to see that. And I'm not going to read what Kirishima said because that's a little bit suspect, Kirishima. I'm not going to lie. But All Might, he has this recollection or this like revelation like, wow. These fragile little eggs that I met all those months ago, they have finally hatched into wonderful, powerful heroes. And he says that All for One has done something very foolish, and that he has underestimated Class 1A, because they're the main characters, even though barely know anything about them. And that goes to show later on. Oh, another thing about it. Yeah, someone ain't there. Someone ain't there. Of all the people we see, someone is not there. And I believe we all know who it be. But regardless, we cut away from 1A to Shigaraki screaming. And I love it. I don't know why. Like, Shigaraki screaming, I don't mind. Because it's him screaming in agony. And I love how All for One is having this, like, it's not a meta conversation. Because there's nothing really meta about it. He's just communicating with himself. That's like that, you know, that little voice in your head that you have when you think? Like, imagine that, like, actually being another body you can communicate to. Like, the original All for One's body is essentially just being the conscious of the other one. Like, being like, yo, chill, calm down. Our quirk factor is damaged and is in no working condition. As long as we bide our time, we'll be able to use our quirks again. And just the Shigaraki body, All for One, is just screaming, I'll kill you, I hate you, why did you do that? Like, notably, like, he says quirk factor, so I'm assuming he just can't activate quirks right now because of all the damage that Star and Stripe did, which is good. But I hope he says, when he says our quirks, I hope he doesn't mean like the ones that were supposedly lost. Like, I hope he doesn't regen the quirks. Because if he does, wow, Star and Stripe. She was literally just a stalling device. So hopefully, that's what I'm afraid of. He says quirk factor, and I'm pretty sure quirk factor is like what activates the quirk, or activates existing quirks rather than ones that have been destroyed. So hopefully, he isn't just gonna plop out completely fine. He just needs a nap or two. Like, hopefully that's not it. He actually does straight up. He got nerfed to whatever unspecified degree, because we had no idea what number of quirks he had before the nerf. So him getting nerfed is like, okay, he's weaker now, nebulously. Great. So I just hope he doesn't get all his powers back, because if that happens, like, I'm just gonna walk over to Japan and like with like I'm not sure what to, like, a care package, just knock on Horikoshi's door and be like, here, bro, just chill out, you know, maybe take a break, like take a 6-month break, like you can come back when you're done. Like, I don't really mind. I'll put a pause on the reviews. It's okay. Like, you obviously need rest, because I don't know what the heck that was. But hopefully it isn't something along the lines of everything was wasted. But it seems like this Shigaraki conscious that is inhabiting, this All for One conscious that is fused with the Shigaraki conscious of Shigaraki's body has, like, it's just galvanized purely on the hatred. And, like, the underlying fear and hatred that All for One had, like, connected with the overlying fear and hatred that Shigaraki had. And that seems to be, once put in a perilous situation that tests only their life force and stuff like that, like put on a near deathbed kind of scenario, it seems like the only thing that keeps him going is the only thing that kept Shigaraki going, which was the hatred. And considering that, it makes sense. And it's kind of interesting to see how this hatred is also, like, just something that actually the Shigaraki / All for One, this fused consciousness, actually does want to get rid of. Like, this isn't something that they're happy with. They want to get rid of it, which is interesting, because notably the hatred is what All for One says is needed for Shigaraki to even steal One for All in the first place. So I wonder what would happen, like, if All Might dies right here, the memory. So let's see. As long as even one person remembers All Might, the hatred will never cease. So he literally have to wipe out the memory of All Might, which includes wiping out himself, because he's never going to forget. But that's interesting. And I like how All for One is like, you know what? All that violent rage is actually going to be pretty useful. Keep that. Grow on that. Think on that. Hold that, please. And I think it's actually kind of funny, because he looks like a frog. That's about it. But then we get to see that All for One, he's like trying to rationalize it to himself, like, yo, hey, it's fine. Okay, we weren't able to steal New Order, but in the same time, we got rid of our greatest obstacle. Let's calm down. Let's take it slow. We can play a long game. We're playing an RPG right now. We aren't playing a fighting game. We aren't running 3 rounds and it's done. We're going to play an RPG. We're going to grind our levels a little bit. We're going to spend our time doing some side quests, you know. And then we got the party members right here. We're going to chill out. We can't stick to this single plan. We can't stick to this single match objective. We got to chill out. And then it's interesting. Like, everyone's returned. Notably, when we saw All for One and Spinner last pre the Star and Stripe fight, like, it was just Spinner. Like, All for One made very specific note that everyone else dipped. Where they dipped to, no idea. Why they dipped, no idea. And it doesn't necessarily get elaborated on, because everyone's back. Because Dabi, he's just chilling on these little pile of boxes. And apparently he just hates that he saw his father just, you know, rolling around at the speed of like it? I shouldn't. But I'm not going to sing the rest. But he was sick of seeing his father Sonic theming around. So he didn't want to, he wanted to go and do something about that. But then All for One brings up a very good point. Like, yo, Toya, the difference between you and I is that I'm a good character and you're not. No, I'm kidding. No, notably, All for One explains that he and Toya have very similar ideas. Like, they both have one solid endgame goal. However, the way they take that goal is very different. Like, Toya had a path to destroy Endeavor, and his end goal is to kill Endeavor. However, he sort of just has the one driving line. Like, sure, he has like a complicated scheme behind it, like revealing all that, doing the plot and all that. But it's essentially just like a stop by stop on one plan. It's a one plan road, or one road plan. Meanwhile, All for One straight up admits that, no, I have like countless contingencies. Call me Kisuke Urahara. I hope you know I'm referencing Bleach and almost everything now. But I have multiple contingencies set up upon each other, all to reach that same one end goal. That's where we line up. However, I have these multiple backup plans. And notably, it appears that every single route was just to make sure that he achieves his endgame goal. And we see that the main object he's going to use to achieve that endgame goal is a certain thing he has, a friend, if you will. And All For One apparently is going to leave the Shigaraki body with them, while he sort of it's interesting. Does he transfer consciousness, or what is he doing here? Because they're in this cave, and he says he's going to leave his body behind, which is weird. Like, I mean, he's leaving the Shigaraki body till it's complete. Does that mean he's gonna go somewhere and do something? Because regardless of any of that, we fire off. It's back towards UA, and we see a certain someone who is a friend of All For One's, and it is Toru Hakakure. And notably, that's the end of the chapter, so there isn't much to discuss. However, I'm happy the Traitor plotline didn't die. It went unmentioned for a long while, but that's fine with me. Like, I'm glad we have something towards it. The end of the chapter even questions, like, a shocking reveal. Is the Traitor really hurt? Like, even the like, as I first read the chapter, I was like, wow, even the manga forgot her name, and I don't even blame it. But yeah, it's Toru. I only know her name through fan art, fan fiction, so shout outs, but I don't care. Like, at least in terms of shocking revelation, like, it makes sense. I remember there are multiple theory videos I watched. I don't think I've mentioned it in my reviews, but Toru was on my list of suspects for a Traitor way back when I was like heavily invested into it, mainly because like she had too good of an alibi. Like, all you got to do is drop the gloves and drop the clothes, and you're never gonna see her do anything. So I think it's cool that Horikoshi took the most logical route and even planted a Traitor within 1A itself rather than going the teacher route, which is what I feared originally. I thought it was going to be like a teacher that gave away everything, and that would have been fine. But like, I know a lot of people suspected Present Mike, but at the same time, I feel like it would have been better if it was one of our own in one way, shape, or form. Was I hoping it was going to be a more prominent member? Yes. I was hoping maybe be Momo. I'm not gonna lie. I know it wouldn't make any sense for it to be Momo, but I think that would have been cool. You could have made it Jiro, just because like she can pick up radio waves or different frequencies through her headphones or something like that. I remember Kaminari was a big suspect for the Traitor at one time. That was pretty cool because they were like talking about like the whole electricity thing and how it could possibly pick up a signal, stuff like that, and how like the whole playing dumb thing was just an act. There's so many cool things with characters that have a slightly more establishment than Toru, but no, I'm fine with that. Like, that's the thing. I don't really have the strongest opinions on it because I don't have the strongest opinions on Toru as a character. Once again, good plot device. I'm fine with that. Excited to see where it goes next chapter. I wonder if we're gonna get like a little flashback to how she's like this, why she came like this. Maybe she was quirkless and then was given the invisibility quirk, and then or the light reflecting quirk, and bada bing, bada boom. I don't know. I don't really have much to say. This was a pretty whalish. I don't know. I thought right back to that Dobby panel. I'm not gonna lie, but in terms of chapter, it was pretty solid. Not gonna lie. Like, I like the whole, like, you know, next generation strong hatchlings, good, great, and I like seeing the after effects of Star and Stripe on Shigaraki / All For One, and the fused consciousness and the hatred stepping forward. Like, there are a lot of good things in this chapter. And, you know, the twist at the end is very decent. But yeah, it's like a 7 to me. Nothing too crazy at all. I'm not gonna lie. The only like out of your mind, like something that you may have thought was dropped for a while that came to fruition is the Traitor, which is good. I like that. But nothing else in this chapter is like mind-boggling, electric boogaloo, like crazy stuff like that. So yeah, pretty solid chapter. I give it a 7 out of 10. But please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is that guy with the pencil, writing off.